Nigel Farage, one of the leaders of Brexit, spoke to Fox Business about the state of the election, and he made an interesting point. So he said, I think only one person comes out of this deplorably, and that's Hillary Clinton. Let me pause actually to tell you that he's referring specifically to Hillary Clinton's basket of deplorables comment about some of Donald Trump's supporters. So he continues and says, what we've seen over the Western world over the last 10 or 20 years is this new sort of political aristocracy that has taken over. The Clinton family in America sum it up rather beautifully. If they think by insulting the silent majority that they are doing themselves a favor, effectively demeaning people by demonizing people, then they were in for a big shock in Brexit. I suspect she's in for a big shock in this American campaign as well. She's part of that same kind of elite I saw in London, but in this case based in Washington, D.C., who has absolutely no understanding of how ordinary people live their lives. People have simply had enough of being sneered at by out-of-touch, professional, career political elites. Okay, so let me break this down in a few ways. First of all, in regards to the specific comment that he's talking about, it makes no sense because we covered it the other day. Everybody's pretending like she said all Trump supporters are deplorable. That's not what she said. In fact, she kind of bent over backwards to make clear many of them are victims of a shitty economic system that left them behind. So that's true. And it is also true that many of them are fucking deplorable. I mean, David Duke is one example, white nationalists and flat-out white supremacists who have come out of the woodworks to support him. We went over some of the numbers the other day. In fact, I think I have them here somewhere. When you look at the poll numbers, many of them, yes, are deplorable. And if you object to that, then you're the one that's being the politically correct bitch. And you're being a right-wing social justice warrior, and you're not acknowledging reality. So, for example, 59% of Trump supporters think Obama isn't American. Is that a deplorable position? I think so. 31% want to ban gays from coming to the U.S. 87% want to ban all Muslims. So when she says, as she did, that about half of Trump supporters are really just bad people, and the other half are, you could say, are genuine victims of a system that left them behind, and then they scapegoat as a result of that, I actually think that's a very fair comment to make, and it's something that if you go to the data and the information, there is backing for. Now, I would totally disagree with her if she said all Trump supporters are deplorable. Because then what you're doing is you're downplaying and rejecting the idea that establishment Democrats and neoliberals have played a role in creating this shitty system that left them behind. So Paul Krugman recently made some comments that were along those lines, and I went after him for it because that's not true. But Hillary was a lot more nuanced, and I was surprised to see how nuanced she was in that comment. So in reference to the specific comment he's talking about, I think he's wrong. But a broader picture, so just broadly speaking, forgetting that comment from Hillary, and just speaking broadly about this political aristocracy, I think he's 100% right. Because what he's saying is out-of-touch elites are now so immensely disconnected from the people that they can't possibly understand the populist rage that is, reverberating through the country. And that was something that happened with Brexit, where everybody's like, oh, please, obviously, Britain's not going to vote to leave the EU. Duh. Well, turns out they did. Turns out they said, I've had enough of this shit, and they wanted more sovereignty. They felt like they didn't have control of their borders. And even if you say, well, that's not a legitimate issue, well, there are some legitimate economic issues about, the central planners not caring enough about making changes that affect regular people in a positive way in Britain and elsewhere. So, people said, fuck it, let's blow up the system and try to essentially start from scratch. God damn the consequences. Even if there's an initial tank in the market, which did happen, even if there are short-term problems, which did happen, well, the long-term goal is something that's preferable to trying to stick it out in the situation that we have right now. So it wasn't just like this right-wing xenophobic thing, and that's all the people who supported it. Of course, there are people like that who supported Brexit, But that's not the crux of it. It's not like there weren't any independent left-wing people who thought, no, it actually makes sense when you go to the policies and you look at it on paper. So, and that's the same thing going on now, is that, and it's not just Hillary Clinton, but it's the establishment Democrats in general. There is, though Hillary's Clinton comment was more nuanced in this instance, there is this idea of like, well, obviously you can't go for these crazy Republicans because they're so crazy, but vote for me, the Democrat who supported TPP, supported NAFTA, supported deregulation of Wall Street, is the ultimate insider, does Wall Street's bidding, does the bidding of the military-industrial complex, has a foundation that does pay-for-play in the case of Hillary Clinton. This idea, this smug idea of like, they're so bad that now the Democrats can run to the right and can basically be the ultimate corporatists, and where you're going to go anyway. You can't go to the Republicans. They're fucking religious lunatics and flat earthers to steal, Bill Maher's point, and Civil War reenactors. So are you going to go for those fucking crazy people? Be my guess. But, us Democrats, we're going to be more reasonable. Sure, we'll throw you a bone every once in a while. Here, Obamacare, some weak kind of reform that somewhat helps you with healthcare. Here, we'll raise the minimum wage a little bit. Happy? Shut the fuck up. Okay, we're on the side of gay marriage. Yay, we're so progressive. But, don't look now, we're in favor of the next trade deal, we're in favor of more deregulation of Wall Street, and we're in favor of continuing American empire. So, that's the sense I get from what he's saying. Now, to be clear, Nigel Farage is an idiot right-winger, so let's get that on the record, and let me be crystal clear about that. And no, the Republicans, indeed, are not the answer to this problem, but is he right that there is a problem of political aristocracy, and is he right that it is true that these elites feel so empowered when they shouldn't. They feel like we got this shit on lock because the other guys are so crazy, when they don't understand the disdain that's for them too. 56% unfavorables for Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton in a recent poll. Think about that. That's unbelievable. Hillary Clinton is tied with Donald Trump in unfavorables. I mean, when it comes to trustworthy, Donald Trump is beating Hillary Clinton in some polls. How can that possibly be? Well, it's the case because they know what you are. They know you're an establishment insider. And further evidence for his point is that, I bring this up all the time, you can have the American people elect somebody, and then you come back a month later, 2 months later, and you do a poll. Hey, what do you think about the people you just elected in Congress? And Congress will have a 9% approval rating, maybe a 12% max approval rating. Okay, you just voted for those people. How is the approval rating so low? Because people know they're getting screwed, and people know the politicians are representing the corporations, and it's not just the shitty fucking Republicans who are backwards when it comes to corporations and social issues. It's also the Democrats who are more reasonable on social issues, a little bit more reasonable on economic issues, but still largely fucking you. So he's right. He's getting at a point here that is largely correct, which is, this is not what he's saying, but it's an implication here. If the Democrats don't get their act together, if the Democrats don't become more progressive, more liberal, and actually represent the people, don't be surprised when they turn to an insane right-wing populists to, fill that void because they think that guy's got a better chance of blowing up the system and retooling it so that I'm not left behind. That is a thing that can happen. And if Hillary Clinton wins this election, believe me, it's not because of the overflowing love for her that people have. It's because at the last minute, people might understand and realize, well, that guy is worse. Hillary's still bad, but that guy's worse, so I guess we got to go for Hillary. That's best case scenario, and it's not, you don't want to be in a white-knuckle election with a fascist buffoon, and the fact that Hillary shows her weakness as a candidate and shows the general weakness of the establishment Democrats, and this doesn't go away with this election cycle. They're still going to be weak moving forward, and eventually the right-wing populists might burst that bubble, just like what happened with Brexit. So let's wake up and move in the right direction.